Sheesh! Do your master's bidding!
Animal test 6308. My apologies.
Ooh. Oh my goodness. Okay, everybody. So, I recently got Shenhe, as you may have noticed. And I also got her weapon, right? So, I kind of like... I think there's been a lot of talk around, like... It's hard to tell whether Shenhe's really good, or if she just... the character nobody really needs, but wants, right? Because of her appearance. That's really why I got her anyways. I mean, I know she can be cracked, but I just wanted to kind of figure out how cracked can she be. And specifically for people who don't have C6 Ayaka or some other crazy support. So I'm literally using, I feel like, pretty basic stuff. My Ayaka has a free-to-play weapon, right? The craftable, whatever this is, the katana. And her attack is pretty good, you know, 2100 artifacts, Blizzard Strayer. And I think her crit rate, crit damage isn't crazy, anything crazy. From what I know it could be, right? Her crit damage could be a lot higher too. But I think it's pretty good. Specifically saying, I haven't really gone that focused into building her, which is what I'm going to be doing soon, building her more. So honestly, I'm kind of dealing with pretty cope Ayaka here. Shenhe has a 3800 attack, right? We also have the 5-star weapon. I will be using the 5-star weapon. Maybe I'll switch it out. I'll have to see which other weapons I have. Problem is, at the moment, I don't really have a... I would use this, or I might use Favonius Lance. Problem is, you need, in order to have it all the way up, to actually show what Ayaka can do, you need to have the weapon maxed. So, I think what we'll do maybe is instead we'll just like take away one of her artifacts. We'll take away one of Shenhe's artifacts, and then show how she still does without that one artifact. I know a lot of people have been showing her off with Kokomi or Mona, and I do have a Mona, but I've recently run into the issue, like if we look at her team right now, we have Ayaka, Shenhe, Xingqiu, and Sucrose. I'm using Sucrose because I really just want to swirl. I think Sucrose, if you're dealing with like one guy, Sucrose is probably the better option. If you're dealing with a lot of enemies, definitely Venti would be a better option. I'm using Xingqiu mainly because he's got healing. I feel like honestly, like my Mona's not that built at the moment, so like he's probably a better option anyway, since I think he applies Hydro pretty much just as well as Mona. But again, he's just like a normal Xingqiu, nothing special. He's not even C6 or anything. If we look, he's only got 3 constellations, and my Sucrose only has 3, and everybody else is 0. So I think we're dealing with pretty achievable stuff here. If you already have Ayaka and Shenhe, and you have some other cryo or hydro and animal characters, which you probably do. Everybody probably has at least one Sucrose, right? I think anybody could achieve these results. So I'm gonna kind of go showing off Ayaka's damage first without Shenhe's buff. So I'm gonna go in, freeze the guy, swirl, cryo, and then try to use Ayaka's attacks. Like we'll probably just show her some of her basic attacks, and then maybe and then a charged attacks, and then we'll see how that goes. This is pretty easy. Oh, wrong character. All right, cool. All right, there.
Absorption test. Stand clear.
All right, baby.
Take flight.
All right, we're dealing about 26,000 on her E. All right, it's pretty good. And ouch. Yeah, so I think we have a good idea of what kind of damage Ayaka can do without. I think it's a little important to note real quick that I am only using 2 supports here. I'm using Xingqiu and Sucrose. I could be using potentially someone like Bennett, right? And boost Ayaka's attack even more. But we're not doing that. I might do that in a minute. So I'm just going to show Ayaka, though, basically without it. I did swirl. We did try to swirl Sucrose. So I did add, definitely. Typically, my Ayaka will do 20,000 on her E and around 4,000 on her, or 4 to 5,000 on her charged attacks. With the swirl, it bumps up her E to about 26,000, which is pretty dang good. And around 6,000, I think it was. I'll have to look back. But I think it was like around 6,000 for her charged attacks. So this time, we're going to do the same thing, except add in Shenhe's E. Not her burst yet, just her E. Okay, so let's try to do this again. Okay. Alright, you first, then you first, then you first, then you... Ooh, okay, okay. So, okay, wow. Wow. That was interesting. That was even more, I was doing a little bit of testing earlier, and that was more than I was expecting. So we had about, I'll show the picture here. We had about 39,000 on the E, and 18. There was 116, but it was like I think a couple 18s or something like that. It was around 17, basically 17K range on her charged. So that's with the hold and the swirl. And that's about it. That's about it. That's all that's going on. That doesn't even take into account. Here's what I could do, right? We could. Obviously, I think that's more like typical, though. Like if we're expecting, like, what could I keep up consistently? I could consistently, basically, with the stats I have right now, it could get better, and I could end up getting to the point where I could use Shenhe's ult more often. And, but I think... Yeah, I could go on and say Xingqiu ult, right? Then freeze with Shenhe, do Shenhe E, whole tap, right? Go, and then Shenhe ult, right? You want to do the tap first, then the ult, because you want that tap cooldown to go down, right? And then you want to swirl that freeze. Now the guy's frozen, you want to swirl him so his res drops on the cryo. And then we'll go to Ayaka's E and then charged attack, and then we'll see what that does. Hopefully I get a crit, right? It's gonna be really annoying if I don't get a crit.
What's one more?
No, my sword! Unleash! Do your master's bidding!
Animal test 6308. My apologies.
Ooh! Oh my goodness! Wow-wee. I don't even know what to say to that. Okay, it drops so hard after that. Wow, okay. So, that wasn't even everything I still could have done, right? I still could have even gone further. Wow. Okay. So that was Xingqiu E, Xingqiu E, Shenhe tap E, Shenhe ult. I should have probably done actually a Shenhe hold E right there in that specific case, but it doesn't really matter too much. And then Shenhe ult, and then Sucrose swirl, and then Ayaka E. Our Ayaka, wow, did a 47,000 on the E. Wow, 47,000. That's more than double. That's more than double what Ayaka typically does. And then that's almost it's not quite double yet. It's almost double when you consider, because with the swirl, that's also why it's getting to 47,000 though, because of swirl. So we have 26,000 basically if we're doing Ayaka and a swirl on the freeze. we get 26,000 with that. But when we add Shenhe with her buff, we get 47,000. That really is,
A blade embraces
you know, it's not
duty.
quite double,
jeweler
but
cherishes their
it's
gems.
basically there. And considering that we could make our Shenhe better pretty easily, like, I'll kid you not, I've literally spent less than like an hour farming these artifacts. Okay. I don't think they're anything lucky. Some of them, I mean, I think the biggest thing that's really works in Shenhe's favor is the fact that probably everybody has like a bajillion Gladiators Finale. And you could use 2 of those. I would suggest trying to use both of them for the 2 hardest pieces. A Gladiator's Finale for the 2 hardest pieces. Oh, no, not the 2 hardest. Using it for the Hourglass, right? The Hourglass, the Sands, and the Cup. And then use any hat that you have. Because the hats are always the hardest, right? Typically. You know, it depends how you feel about it. Use the hat, any hat that you have. And then use Shiminawa Reminiscence, obviously. For the 2 easiest, which probably a lot of people don't have as many. You can see I use my Gladiator for the for the flower, but that's because I got a pretty good one for the sands. Well, it's not that amazing, honestly. I could get a better one. So these are really just like nothing special. You can see actually it's really annoying. I got like a 21% crit damage. I think the same thing on the hat. Yeah, 27% crit damage on the hat. So these are just nothing special, honestly. These are like nothing special at all. You could get so much better artifacts for Shenhe here. It took me an hour to build this. So getting that kind of damage, I think, with that amount of effort. Now, obviously, she does have her weapon, right? But, I mean, come on. Okay, this time we're going to go all out. I'm going to use Xingshu ult, Shenhe, hold E, Shenhe ult, Sucrose swirl, Ayaka charge E and attack, and then maybe we'll go back to Shenhe, do a hold E, and then go to Ayaka again. We can try that.
Witness the power of Gugwa.
My will embodied. Cryo incarnate.
Absorption test.
Okay. And then, wow. Yeah, wow. Okay. So that was almost the way I wanted to do it. I think that was basically it. Could have done, I think, more damage. I'm not sure why. This time we got a 46k when it should have been a bit better, I think. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, so I know what to do, yeah. Yeah.
Ring cutter.
Shenhe E, Shenhe
My ordinance divine.
O, Shenhe Pro Swirl.
Take flight.
And then maybe
My will
again.
embodied.
Okay, so interesting. So okay, yeah, I think it doesn't make too much sense. I mean, I think we did basically about as much as we could there. It seems like Xingshu's noblest effect doesn't seem to have too much effect. I'm kind of a little surprised by that, simply because, well, it's really, I mean, it should increase her attack damage by 20%. I don't know. I'm not sure what happened there, but fine. So I think at the end of the day, I think what's pretty realistic, anyways, is we're getting about 49,000 on the E with whatchamacallit, 19, around 20. Sometimes you could get 20. Sometimes it's around 19,000 on the charge attacks, and then afterwards, you can switch back to Shenhe again to get that hold. You want to do the tap right before the ult. Do the tap before the ult, and then it should be, you might even be able to get away with doing a hold, honestly, before the ult. And then by the time you get back after doing your Ayaka E and Ayaka charge attacks, you could go back and do Shenhe's hold E, and then get some more buff for a little bit longer. It'll drop off a little bit. Maybe switch back to Xingqiu and do another swirl with Sucrose. Then you could definitely do 2 holds.
Oh my gosh.
And then come back to Shenhe hold, and then go to Ayaka. So it'll definitely drop up because you won't have the same
Drat.
debuff that Shenhe's ult gives you. But I still think it'll be very comparable, right? We can try that. Let's try that one more time.
What's one more?
My will embodied.
Whirling snow.
Yeah. Okay, so it's going to drop off on your E around 10,000, but your charge attack actually won't suffer that much. Like, it'll suffer maybe a couple thousand, but, like, let's be honest, it's still a lot. I think our Shenhe's causing us, from what we could be doing with just Sucrose and Xingqiu, she's letting us easily do around 2 times damage. On the E, it's a little less than 2 times, but definitely achievable. So now what I want to do is, obviously I have her weapon, so that's like a pretty big buff I got here. So I want to drop one of her artifacts, and let's drop, we'll drop this, and we'll see how that does instead. So she drops, for dang, that is a huge drop actually. That might be too much, but let's just say, because I do know people might be struggling to get to the 3,000, even 400 spot, which is pretty hard to do if you don't have her weapon. So assuming you only have 3,400 plus, her weapon's still gonna buff her a little bit with its passive. So yeah, that should be pretty fair. This is a little low, I think, considering she could be a lot better.
My pole arm doesn't distinguish
Um,
friend from foe. And
but
there's
fine.
Clearly a limit to the red rope.
Let's do this. We'll do the same thing we did before. Basically, this is going all the way through.
No, my sword! Transfiguration! Do your master's bidding!
Animal test 6308. My apologies.
Okay, you can see. Wow, that is actually incredible. Even with, wow, that's something. So let's kind of figure out what just happened there. Even with this damage, right? This attack. Well, okay, right now it's, well, hold on. All right, 3,153. And yeah, a couple seconds did go by, so I'll explain like why I'm doing the rotation I'm doing for people that don't understand. She did get a little bit above there. You could see went up to 3,500 at the very end. But I don't think Ayaka was able to use all that anyways. So I think it's a little negligible. And also 35 is pretty fair, honestly. So you can get 35, 34 probably even better. But you could see I could still get 42,000 with that E, and then around 18,000 with the charge attack. That is pretty good, I think, considering... I mean, if you think about it, let's just run the numbers real quick. 42 plus 18 times 3, essentially 96,000 damage. If you're getting that, you know, that little rotation there correctly. That's her ult rotation, obviously, but, you know, I don't think that's, like, considering that being her ult rotation,
Blade is like a tea leaf.
I think that's pretty good. I think that's definitely pretty good. So, I don't know, like, I mean, obviously she's really good. I'm going to put that artifact back on right now. Alright. That definitely helps a little bit. If you have her with her weapon, we're talking 49,000 on her E with her ult. This is considering her ult. Plus 19 times 3. Like 106,000 damage. Probably, potentially more. I could definitely be doing more. I'm literally just considering the E and the charged attack. That's not even considering the damage that Xingqiu does, that Sucrose does, probably not a lot, and that and obviously Shenhe does. So that's definitely not negligible. I think at the end of the day, it's like, is she cracked though? I mean, we can switch out, right? We can switch out. I don't think when I look at this team, some people might say maybe you can fit Bennett in there. I don't really think so. I don't really think you could fit Bennett too easily You could get rid of Xingqiu, but that's going to hurt you because you want your enemies to be frozen to get that 40%. If you're using, obviously, Blizzard Strayer on Ayaka, you need them to be frozen to get that 40% increase on crit rate. If you have enough crit rate, though, I guess you could get rid of Xingqiu. You don't really need them to be frozen. They just need to have the ice effect on them. So yeah, you could get rid of that and switch it out for someone like Bennett, right? That might be crazy, right? Just really depends, though. I mean, we could test that out, I
I
guess.
won't hold you back.
Let me try.
Everybody stand back.
Take your true form. Cryo Incarnate.
Whirling snow.
That's definitely pretty crazy, right? So that gave us around 51,000. I don't think it was like in 21,000. Was it 50? Was it 57,000? I'll have to look back at it. I'll put the numbers up. But that was definitely higher. I don't think it's worth it, though. I'll be honest. I don't think it's worth it having Bennett in your team. No. Because I feel like Bennett, as much as he's like can buff you up a little bit, I feel like Xingqiu would make up for that with his range swords. And also he gives you that extra crit rate that you wouldn't have otherwise. You know, that's an extra 20% crit rate due to them being frozen. So I definitely think Xingqiu is better. Even though, yeah, he did buff it up quite a bit. You did do a bit more damage. I think I did like quite a bit, like almost 8,000 more damage on the E. But only like a couple thousand damage. It still builds up. I think it was probably around 14,000 extra. I think Xingqiu is more worth it to have. So I would change that back.
For justice.
So I'm just gonna go basically over what's going on with this rotation. So basically, the first thing I start out with is Xingqiu Xingqiu E, because I want to make them wet, right? I want to make them wet, right? Then what we want to do is go over to Shenhe's ult, which I think we all know by now, right? It's going to basically, I only have her. Wow, okay. I guess that's something I should have mentioned, by the way. This is Shenhe only at... I totally forgot about this, too. I haven't even upgraded her talents all the way. This is Shenhe at only level 4. I'm going to do... so this is, like, extremely copium, right? Extremely copium right now. I'm going to do another video, I think, updated when I built her really well. But for now, right, this is just level 4. So it's going to give her 50%, 57% of her attack over to Ayaka, basically when she does her cryo damage. And so that's why I'm switching. I'm pulling her ult now. I mean, I'm pulling her E now because I want her cooldown, right? It's got a 15-second cooldown, so I want that to go away pretty quickly. But then I do her ult, of course. Her ult is going to basically just shred the resistance, the cryo res of the... I think it's only 15% that it does. What does it do? Res decrease, 9%. So it really isn't all that much. I think it gets better. It gets over to like 15% once you get to like 9, maybe. It ain't that crazy, though, I think. But it is what it is. It's still enough. It's still a lot. Then we move over to Sucrose. Which, if we go to Sucrose's artifacts, obviously she's rocking 4-piece Viridescent Veneraire, and the 4-piece, because I'm going to swirl that cryo, it's going to decrease the res of the person being swirled by 40, right? That's going to be nice. And so that's what's really helping Ayaka do a lot more damage there as well. And so then, of course, Ayaka, she just takes all these buffs that she's getting, right? And then just does what she does best, and that's E and charge attack. So that's basically what's going on with that rotation. So it's like, get them wet, use Shenhe's buff, and then use the Shenhe res shred. Do a swirl with Sucrose to get that next res shred. And then go to Ayaka. And of course, if you can, put Thrilling Tales on your if you have a Refinement 5, everybody should get a Refinement 5 version of this weapon. The good thing is, as soon as I switch off, the good thing about this rotation is I switch off Sucrose, and I go back Okay, so we start with Xingqiu, Shenhe, then we go to Sucrose. Immediately I'm going to Ayaka, and she's getting that buff now. So that's pretty crazy, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. The good thing about this team too is it keeps them frozen, and the only thing I might worry about this team is energy issues. However, I don't think they'll be that big an issue since Ayaka generates a ridiculous amount of particles. And frankly, I haven't, like, Shenhe doesn't have the best energy generation, but I think it's okay right now, right? I think I could make it better too, just by getting better artifacts. So I think a lot of things could be better here. And obviously, yeah, a lot of this is what you guys are seeing is really copium right now, to be honest. So definitely very interesting what Shenhe can do. I mean, let's talk about some other optionals. If you obviously have Kazuha, that's going to be insane. Just don't even use Sucrose. I don't think there's any reason to use Sucrose if you have Kazuha. And if you have, whatchamacallit, I like to use Xingqiu here instead of Mona because he does give heals. It's not a lot, but I feel like it's somewhat adequate to get me through a lot of stuff. But if you have Kokomi, right, she would definitely be good, which I'm like thinking, man, Kokomi would probably be nice, actually. I don't know, though. She's kind of still... I just have a hard time wishing on a 5-star on a 5-star Barbara. So I'll definitely be holding back on that. But I don't know. I think Shenhe. I think Shenhe's really good, honestly. I'm pleasantly surprised. Very pleasantly surprised. I think this character, if you're looking for somebody who can boost your Ayaka, and you're not amazing at the game, I think Shenhe is definitely that character that can do that pretty easily. And she could actually, I think she's very fun too. I think she makes it so I have to think a lot in the game. I'm having fun with her. I think she's really unique too. She's obviously very specific though, so I feel like if your account is requiring much more than a specific support, like if you really need a good DPS and you don't really have one, or if you don't have a good shielder, or you're something like that, I might wait for Zhongli or Ganyu. You know, if you don't have a Venti, right? I might wait for Kazuha. I don't want to like tell people to go for Shenhe just because she's really cool. I mean, you obviously want to make sure your account can handle stuff without her. I think she's like, Shenhe's one of those characters you would go for once you feel like your account's already pretty comfortably good. You don't really mind getting a character that's gonna be amazing in every situation, right? And I think that's what's nice about her. When she's good, she's really good, but she's really only good when everything else in your life is good, right? So I don't know. I think that's where I'll end it. I think I'm really glad I have her at the end of the day. I think I was a player who was really on the fence, and I'm really happy I have her. I only have, right? I got her weapon too. I'm really happy I got these two things, and I don't really regret it at all. I think that's like the biggest thing. I've had her for a few days now, and I think it's a testimony when you can have a character for a few days and actually feel happy with it. I remember getting Xiao, and I wasn't as happy. Maybe some people would be more happy, but I was a little disappointed when I figure out more what he was about. But that was probably for more, subjective reasons. So I think that'll conclude it here. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of Shenhe if you have her. I think in terms of freaking design, dude, she's either number 2 on the coolest design or number 1. High chance she might be number 1, dude. Anyways, she looks freaking awesome. That's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think of Shenhe. Tell me how you're using her. What kind of numbers are you getting? I want to know what people are doing. What kind of crazy stuff you're pulling off with Shenhe. And if you know anything about mono cryo teams, I'd like to hear about that too. But yeah, until then, like and subscribe if you liked the video, and I'll see you in the next one.